Here we are again, fight fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Shout Out Fight Podcast. We got him here, the man, the myth, the legend, the savage, Canada's heavyweight champion, Paul Martin. Paul, thanks for coming and doing this, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
I will say that I almost got myself into a situation. So I was talking with you first, like, hey, man, we should do a podcast. Yeah, that's Saturday. And then I admit that I've been chasing Daniel Rodriguez for months trying to get a podcast. And then all of a sudden he's like, hey, can you do, midnight? And I'm like, yep, I can. So I'm glad it worked. All right, man. Well, first of all, let's talk about a matchup I did not see coming. You have a fight coming up versus Michael Fitzpatrick. At heavyweight. Michael Fitzpatrick, you're going up a few divisions. You're trying to pull a Terrence Bud Crawford here and move up a couple weight divisions. Just tell me, how does that... I assume you probably didn't see this matchup coming, but how do you feel about it?
I'm comfortable with it. I've always here, specifically just being outside of the Toronto, Ottawa bubble, I've never been able to turn down a fight. If somebody offers me a fight, I always say yes. That doesn't mean we always make it to the ring. As you know, sometimes the event gets canceled, sometimes an injury happens, but I've never turned down a fight. He had kind of theorized coming back and maybe doing something in the WBC card in the future. And then just out of the blue, he messaged me about this. He's kind of, this is maybe his last one. He said, he was very respectful. He said, love for it to be against me. So he offered it to me. I accepted, and here we are.
Nice. And it's always got to come with, from what I know of you, and don't get me wrong, this is what Instagram tells me and our few meetings together, but how could somebody be disrespectful towards you? You seem like the nicest, except the one time, which I'll bring up. I've only seen you be the nicest guy on the planet. How do you channel that from being the nicest guy on the planet to an absolute savage in the ring?
I don't know about the nicest guy on the planet. I'm sure there'd be people who tell you otherwise, but I certainly like when I first started training, Crew Mark made it very clear, and I also had a jiu-jitsu coach, Rob Wynn. They both made it very clear, right? This is martial arts is about respect from top to bottom.
Love it.
Like a guy, it doesn't matter. You go up, you shake their hand, you don't say bad things. You're not disrespectful. You can hype a fight. There's ways to hype a fight without feeling like, oh, I've got to talk trash to this guy. I've got to, make it personal. It's silly. I think for me, it's kind of the Conor McGregor effect. Everyone saw how well it worked for him, and they want to do it themselves. Like, let's get to that really high level first before you're thinking about mind games and stuff. You're like in an amateur match or something, you're talking about the guy or his family or his past losses or something. It's stupid to me. So I've never been really one to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No. And can I ask you a question then? Do you think, I feel this way, that you're not celebrated enough in the Canadian Muay Thai scene? Not that you're not celebrated, but I feel like you could be celebrated more. Do you feel like that kind of attitude just towards life and fighting has, in my opinion, held you back in that respect? Just my opinion, by the way. You could just be like, what the hell are you talking about?
No, I feel like I get respect. I mean, I go to events and stuff like that. People, you see them, you lie to them. Everybody's very nice. I haven't had occasionally, I think you've seen some of the online stuff. There's a couple different people who like to, they're again posturing for a fight.
Yeah.
And so the best way to do that as if to get at me personally, and I'm going to pick up a phone and call up the promoter and be like, hey, I got to fight this guy now. That's not how it works. I get told who I fight for the most part. Occasionally, like this fight with Mike, it was like, it's not like I was going to be on the card regardless. It was, I had an opportunity. If I wanted to fight Mike Fitzpatrick, I could be on this card. It wasn't like I have all this sway, like I get to pick who I fight and don't fight. And, so there are a lot of contenders out there, 40 years old. I wish I had time to fight them all, right? And we could level this out, but it's just not. It's not. The fighting here in Ontario is not frequent enough,
Yeah.
And people say stuff online, and then when it comes to actually agreeing or signing a contract, they don't. They have different issues for why they don't want to sign a contract. So I all I can really do is just in terms of respect, continue fighting, take my losses like a man, celebrate my wins properly. You know, no showboating, no flaunting, stuff like that. I've lost enough times to know how bad it feels to lose. You don't need the guy standing over you, laughing at you, making fun of you, and stuff like that. So if I wasn't gonna, if I didn't want to be treated like that, I'm not gonna treat somebody like that. So I mean, that I think is maybe the most important part of the respect game.
Well, and it just, and maybe part of that sounds like a mature man, a mature fighter, and a proper martial artist. I mean, I kind of feel this. Listen, I always want my guys to win, but I'm gonna be honest. At the end of the day, whether you win or whether you lose, your Monday is going to be the same. Like, doesn't really matter. I mean, try your hardest. We want to win, but that's not life. Fighting isn't life. It's a small period where you get to enjoy life.
Exactly. Yeah. So for me, like we're here I am at the gym. We're working on making this something that uh, we could do full time. But for right now, I'm a full time auto mechanic. I'm not. I teach classes after work. I train after work.
Nice.
I train at home when my kids are in bed. So I can't really. I can't take it that seriously, certainly. And ultimately, um, I represent Crew Mark. I represent Tyler and Josh, the other guys that do Savage Muay Thai with me. I represent my students. So it's not just a game of me being disrespectful and everyone looks at me. Then the next time I bring a student to the ring and they're like, oh, there's that asshole that did this last time, So it's just there's no payoff for me to carry on like that, I don't think.
I love it, man. I'm the same. Yeah. And even I used to coach Chris McMillan, and there's been a few times, and he said it well too. The guys are, like you said, amateur fights right in your grill, and he's not playing. And I did ask him a long time ago, like, how come you didn't get amped up for that? And he goes, that's because that's what he wants. I'm not playing. Like, brilliant answer. um, do you feel? Well, I'll tell you what. I was going to ask this question later on, but I'll ask it now. You talk about family, you talk about a full-time job, and being a fighter. How do you balance all that, man?
Well, like I said to you in the ring after I won there in Tyananega, my wife is a big support system for that. She has her thing. She's equestrian, she's a horseback rider. Um, I give her time for that. I take the kids. I handle the house stuff, the scheduling and stuff like that. And then when it's it kind of back and forth. And then the team that I have with me. So when we started Savage Muay Thai during the pandemic because we wanted to train. We wanted to keep training, competing and stuff like that. And the WBC was just kind of opening up in Calgary. You guys had done your first two cards there, and they were opening up the ranking system.
Right.
I wanted to be a part of that. I wanted to it felt like the way that it's set up here in Ontario. I had to go elsewhere, obviously, to fight pro, and I couldn't even get my foot in the door in a lot of places without something like a ranking from the WBC. It was what helped me secure the fights in New York to be able to fight for the North American title there, and that was it felt like I was going to miss a big opportunity if I didn't jump on it. So me and two of my longtime students, Josh Bromfield and Ty Boyd, we started Savage Muay Thai specifically to get that done, to get us in the ring professionally. And they've been such a good help, and they work around my schedule. Like they basically were catering to me for years. Josh meeting me at specific times to hold pads, to clinch with me and stuff like that. Same with Tyler. And I think I mentioned before, Ty's dad, Sean Boyd. I always shout him out because he's another big reason why this whole thing came together because he gave us a free spot, like free building to train in
Right on.
for half year. Yeah. So he's just recently retired and sold his business. So we've moved into another gym. And again, now that we're more established, right? Now that people know a little more about us and Savage Muay Thai and stuff, it was easy for us to just transfer and say, we're joining this gym. We'll be taking over the striking program. And, you know,
Yeah.
um, but without those two and without so Neil Garan is another guy. He We were the original four members of Savage Muay Thai, myself, Josh, Tyler, and Neil,
Hmm.
and without them kind of catering to like us hammering out scheduling and catering to each other, they would have never gotten done.
Sure. In saying that, then, so like you were saying, you're hoping to turn your Savage Muay Thai to a full-time facility yourself and everything. Was that maybe not initially the plan? Like, let's just open somewhere so we can train. Was that just it, or was the hope like, listen, let's start something?
The hope was to get us in the ring professionally, and then it was kind of like we were betting on ourselves, right? And if we bet correctly, we got things done and we started winning and making a little more substantial name for ourselves. Then we could talk about that. But yes, the original plan was just to get in and train and have a place where, like, we were training in a park for a while
Hmm.
during COVID because the gym that we were training at was shut down, and they were like, so we just had nowhere. Uh, so originally it was just about training, and now that it's at a point like Tyler runs the boxing program. He got some professional boxing experience. He got to go down and train with Tony Jeffries for a while, and he came back with some really good technical boxing stuff, and
Nice.
he's teaching that now. He's got a handful of students. He has one really decorated student. She joined us 2 years ago when she was just taken right off. So
Who is
I
it? Shout her out.
pardon.
Who is it?
Her name is Mika Bono.
Okay.
So she's amateur boxing right now, but yeah, she's killing it. She's fighting in Quebec and Ontario, picking up wins everywhere, and Ty's a big part of that. He's cleaned my boxing up a lot. I used to not even really like punch.
Right.
I used to really kick until we got into a clinch position. And now I feel like I can actually, kickbox and box my way into certain positions and stuff like that. Now it was, um, he's really brought a lot to the team that way. So, like I said, we've been incremental. We didn't want to rush it for sure. I was the coach at another gym. Um, and we had a program, but it just wasn't taking off.
Yeah.
For me, I felt like I had to go back on my own, make myself better, um, and generate a team that was like in Kingston. We have this problem, which is just roll over. We got a university, two colleges, military college. We have people coming and going all the time. So you invest your time in these people, and then they leave and go somewhere else. You're always happy for them. You see them going and doing big things elsewhere.
Mhm.
It's like, man, I need some people to stay here for a couple years with me, and
Yeah.
so we had to shrink it down, have a core group of guys that was always there, always training. We had an MMA fighter for a while, Tim Kronk. He was, he fought BTC and he went and fought in the States a little bit and stuff like that. So we had a little more consistently where it was like a fight team, not like a fitness kickboxing gym that if you hung around long enough, you might get a chance in the ring.
Yeah. I would say that's probably 85% of gyms, to be honest. Yeah. Um, my other question, how, and not to bring up 40 years old with a family or anything, but As you get older, at least let me speak from my own experience, priorities shift, especially once you have a family. What keeps you hungry to keep fighting when there's a family, there's a business, there's a job? You know what I mean? Where does the hunger come from?
To be honest, the big part of the hunger came when my daughter was born. Um, my daughter Heidi, she's 5 years old now. But I used to have this thing at the other gym that I trained at. You guys would come in, we'd be working, they'd see like, oh yeah, this guy's pretty good, and they'd ask me, what's the first thing they ask you? You ever won any belts? You ever won any championships? You ever? What's your record? All this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
What I have for answers are not at that time are not suitable for someone who's supposed to be the authority figure and the coach and the guy who's correcting everyone's techniques. Like I have a losing amateur record at this point. I don't have any. I have a silver medal at the WKA Nationals in 2010 was about my only accolade at that point. And it's just, it was, I realized like those people, they hear my answer and they're disappointed and I may never see them again. But, one day my daughter is going to ask me, I spent 20 years training and competing. What do I have to show for it? And at that point, I literally had nothing.
Sure.
I had lots of friends that, we all trained together and competed. We had fun, but it wasn't like I had, something physical to, when I came back from the fight last year, my daughter's old enough now. I showed her the belt and she, was amazed by it. I was like, oh wow, and all that stuff. And it was like it felt like a big payoff. Uh, and now I have a 1 year old son is 18 months old. I feel like, well, now I got to win something to impress him.
So the layman's version is most people, I want to win titles for the wall and Instagram, but you want to win them to show off to your kids.
Yeah, yeah. I
Nice.
mean, we've got the titles here, but like often they're just for a while. So the North American one got mailed to me.
Hmm.
Um, it hadn't actually even been built yet. It was the first North American title to be issued, and unfortunately, it wasn't built at the time of the fight. So it got mailed to me in this big bag, this big carry bag, and it stayed in the bag for a long time. Occasionally someone come into the gym who hadn't seen it before and I'd unzip it and show them and stuff like that. And I mean, now we're at a new gym and the owner of the new gym, he's like, yeah, we should really put these out so people can see. And so we have them out in a case now, but for a long time they were basically just kind of off to the side at the gym that we had. Um, yeah, it wasn't so much about bragging about anything. It was more about, you know, I've got them. I've got the belts as memories, and I can show my kids. And you know, in this age, we have tons of pictures, tons of videos of the stuff when they're old enough that I can. My daughter actually just yesterday asked me if I could train her, so I'm very excited for that. But she's just getting to that age now where she maybe understands it a little bit more, and I don't have to think of it as like violence or have to explain to her that it's a sport, stuff like that. So
Yeah, yeah. And and outside of that, I mean, maybe a parent and clearly a martial arts kind of mindset, but like for me, being a martial artist is for life. The lessons I learned from the ass kickings, the winnings, having ego, then having it dumped, being humble, it for me, it all translates into life. It's a life skill, not just a fighting skill.
yeah.
Yeah. So is it fair to say titles for you personally don't really mean much?
Um, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I'm very proud to be, uh, you know, a WBC champion. When I was a kid, um, you'd see Lennox. So I grew up in like the late '80s, early '90s, and into the '90s, right? So Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, they have all the belts on each arm. For me, the one that stood out the most was the green and gold. The
Green
other
and gold.
ones are right. You got three black belts and one green and gold belt. It sticks out like a sore thumb. And I like um, when I started training Muay Thai, I became aware that the green and gold belt was available in Muay Thai. You didn't just have to be a boxer to win a WBC belt, and I did set a goal to win a belt, and the top belt that I would want to win would be the WBC belt. So it feels like a kind of came full circle. So I wouldn't say they don't mean anything, but I certainly don't. In my remaining fights that I have, it's not about chasing belts or chasing accolades. It's more about the opponents. Um, I want to have good opponents. I want to have people that like, oh, you fought this guy, and so like a lot of the amateur fights even that I have are against guys that ended up being very high level, like Mirza, Martello, Olivier Ross.
Mm.
There's a lot of the best guys.
Championship names.
Yeah, there are a lot of the best guys available to me, and they give you like, hey, do you want to fight this guy who's 2 wins and 6 losses, or do you want to fight this? Well, obviously, I want to fight nothing against the other guy, but if I have two options, I want to fight the better guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like now that I have championships, that's something that's afforded to me a little more. I can I have people who want to fight me and beat me so that they can put me on the list of people that they beat, or like former or current champions and stuff like that. So then it gets me better opponents.
Sure. Yeah. Heavy lies the crown. Yeah. People want that belt. You know what I always, as a youngster as well, same thing. So I was born in 82. I'm 43. When everybody had the green and gold belt in boxing, they also came with that wild WBC world champion shirt that they all wore, and like that caught my eye too. Like I kind of, maybe I'm wrong, but I always saw that as like, there's clearly something special about that green and gold.
Yeah, in New York, I got a medal. It's like a green medal with the pendant is like gold gloves,
Okay.
like boxing. Yeah, it's super cool. I still have that too. Yeah.
Nice, nice. So besides your WKA silver medal was, man, I have a hard time with this last name. Brett Havelek?
Halavchek.
Halavchek, thank you. Those from my end of the world, a lot of those letters don't go together in my vocabulary. But was that your first real title fight?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
okay.
was.
So cruiserweight North American WBC title against a good name, man. Like I've known of that name for a long time. How are you
Yeah,
feeling? Was that in New York?
that was in New York, in his hometown. Yeah.
Okay, so how are you feeling training leading up to this fight? Was there any nerves? Did the title bother you? What was the mindset going into this?
I I wasn't nervous about the concept of the title. It was probably one of the first times that I was actually scared to lose.
Okay.
Sat on the shelf for, I think I was 2019, and I thought that was 2022. So I sat for 3 years, and then no tune-up fight, no warm-up fight, no nothing. Just we. So Kieran had originally ranked me as a heavyweight.
Right.
So we were going around looking for heavyweight fights. One of the names that kept coming up was Joe Stripling.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Originally, I was supposed to fight Joe Stripling for the heavyweight version of the same title.
That'd be a good fight.
Joe pulled out. He had, I believe, he had injured himself pretty badly. He had pulled out, and so they offered me, Brett, if I could lose the weight, right? Because I was gaining weight to fight Joe, who's at 265 right on the dot.
Big
Yeah.
dude.
And then so they offered me Brett. And a funny story about that, I watched all these tapes or videos. Sorry, I watched all these videos. His Brett has so many videos from his lion fight days
Yep.
that I literally watched 12 fights of his. And the big thing, I was like, I cannot let him hit me with spinning elbow. Right? That's he beats everybody. I cannot let him hit me with spinning elbow. And about 20 seconds into the first round, he hits me with spinning elbow. I got a big lump right in the middle of my forehead. Okay, we're already off to a bad start here. But yeah, so that was all Neil. Neil is where I lack in trash talking or just hyping myself up. Neil makes up for that. So he was playing the role of my manager. He spoke to the guys at Warrior Cup. He arranged for the first fight with Stripling, and then when that didn't work, he basically like, well, what can you get us instead? And it was like, well, we can maybe do this one instead if your guy can make the weight. And without even consulting me, he's like, oh, he'll make the weight. We're going to take that fight. So it's like, now I have to lose 40 pounds.
Yo,
Yeah.
jeez. How long did you
Yeah.
have to do that?
It does 6 weeks.
How was that?
But to be honest, like you saw me at heavyweight the last time, right?
Yep.
A little doughy. I was just eating belligerently, basically, to keep the weight on while I was training because, like, I couldn't go in at like 215 against a guy who's 265, right? So I was
Definitely.
trying to keep my weight up, lifting weight. I just literally stopped lifting weights, went back to my regular diet, and ran more. And most of the weight came off, and I had about a 12-pound weight cut the night before.
Wow.
So it wasn't terrible, but yeah, it was the shift kind of made me nervous. But ultimately, the big thing was I cannot lose this because I will never get another opportunity like this again. This is something that kind of pieced together against a highly. I can literally go. The other thing I think in my head was I can literally um, no one, I don't think anyone expects me to win this.
Hmm.
Right? We're in New York. It's against Brett. Brett's, I think at the time, so I was 6 wins, 7 losses, and Brett was 25 wins and 4 losses. So, I mean, anybody who was looking at it on paper wasn't giving me the time of day. Um, so that kind of that took the pressure off, but then I put a little bit of pressure on myself, thinking like I cannot accept any other outcome other than winning because I'll never get this opportunity again, especially if I don't win. I've gotten a couple opportunities since then because I won that fight, and that was kind of my mentality going in is I may never even get a pro fight again if I don't win this fight.
Nice. So a couple questions. So number one, or maybe just one question, but it sounds like uh it sounds like you do a good job of playing the fight math. I need to be WBC ranked. That way I can tell people where I'm at so I can get that fight. If I don't win that fight, opportunities down the road aren't going to come their way. Like I don't think I'm sure of course we do, but I think that's a very smart way to look at it. Like really looking at it from step by step instead of just we just fucking fight whoever and but although you said that, don't get me wrong, we never said no, but
Yeah,
is that something you and your team, I guess, like when you're looking for fights, is that something that you used? Guys, I'm ranked. Here's where I'm at. Is that something that you brought when you're talking to promoters?
it was like I said, I have to give Kieran you know a shout out for that because him ranking me is what even made it happen. I'd been like since before Warriors Cup trying to get on Friday night fights in New York,
Right.
right? Just trying to get a pro fight. And it's kind of like, well, you know, didn't. And the fight with me and Martello, uh, I guess would have been 2011. That's how long this has been going on.
Sure.
So Martello beat me at, I guess it would have been cruiserweight, 190 pounds. So he beat me, and then it was like his next fight was you know, at Friday night fights. It's kind of like back to the drawing board. I was that close to getting in there and doing it. So, I just ultimately, yeah, I, it, that's one part that I never thought of. You always think, like, as a young person, as a young man who's training hard, right? I'm going to go in, I'm going to win. The next thing is going to fall right into my lap. The next thing, like you look so far past and you never even conceptualize, well, what do I do off of a loss? How do I, so there's a lot of going back to the drawing board. And then so after Martello, um, I thought I took a safe fight. I took a guy who was 1-0. It was Olivier Ross,
Mm-hmm.
just come back from Thailand.
Right.
So it was again, and I got no excuse on that one. He's just better than me. At that time, he dominated me, swept me in the clinch 3 or 4 times, knocked me down. So I trained as hard as I could, and I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
for that. So,
Well, and like you just said a few minutes ago, don't worry about the numbers on the paper. That really doesn't mean anything.
yeah, I was looking at it as experience. I had already been training for 4 years. And I did kind of like, I've always thought that Crew Mark is one of, if not the best coaches in Canada, certainly the best coach I've ever had access to.
Nice.
So I felt like, 4 years with him isn't just 4 years at your regular Muay Thai gym.
Right.
He's always had smaller teams, smaller classes. So you really get one-on-one time with him. You have him holding pads for you. At the time, I had him sparring with me, clinching with me.
Hmm.
I really felt like I could just dominate almost anybody. So it's eye-opening when you go in and you find there are just little errors or outside of the Olivier fight, I'd lost 5 decisions where 4 of them were split decisions. So it's always like just didn't do enough.
Yeah.
I got to try harder. I got to do more. I just didn't do enough.
That's the right sentence, man. Sometimes that, or often that's just it. You just didn't quite do enough. Yeah, I hear you. Can you talk about how Muay Thai? I always ask this question. How did Muay Thai come into your life? What was it that brought you to a Muay Thai gym and then wanted to pursue it?
So if, I started with hockey.
Okay.
I've been playing hockey since I was about 3 years old. Um, I didn't make it to the OHL. I was a goalie, so I was like a reserve goaltender for like a third string goaltender, so I never dressed for an
But
OHL.
but either way, that's pretty high level hockey.
Yeah, but again, just not quite enough. So I didn't want to just go to beer leagues, stuff like that.
Sure.
And at the same time, I'd also graduated high school, so I didn't have football anymore.
I see. Real quick,
And there,
sorry to interrupt. It sounds like you're just naturally competitive.
I am, yeah, I am. I try not to be a sore loser. I used to. It was
Sure.
something that I had to work. I had to work at a lot. Like when I was a teenager, like when I was a kid, I would cry if I lost. When I was a teenager, I'd, get mad and throw stuff and, pout for a day or two when I lost and stuff like that. So I've always been competitive, but um yeah, so like playing those two sports, and then I had this like 2 year period that was not not a good period for me, not a good period in my life, where it's basically instead of focusing on sports and stuff like that, it was, drinking and partying with friends, smoking and stuff like that. So um, I got into watching, like I'd always watched the UFC, but it was 2007, 2008. So it was about that time that it exploded and the Ultimate Fighter was on and stuff like that.
The Chuck Liddell era.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to try MMA, and that's when Gladiator MMA opened up in Kingston, and that's so Gladiator MMA was Rob Wynn as the MMA coach, and Crew Mark as the Muay Thai coach. I had a lot of I don't know how much these names carry all the way out west, but like Corey McDonald was on our team,
Okay.
Scott Arnold, like lots of like absolute killers, right? I was humbled very early because I basically just stood in and took 3 minute beatings every sparring round for a year.
Right.
That's where I met Crew Mark. And at first, I was overweight. I just kind of quit smoking cigarettes, and I wasn't in good shape, and I didn't stand out. But after about 6 months, 8 months, and Crew Mark saw the commitment, I'd lost about 45, 50 pounds. I was clearly a lot healthier, a lot more flexible, a lot like I just got everything kind of back going. And so we started going on like Friday or Saturday nights after training. Crew Mark would invite me over to his place. And he'd show me videos of all the guys that he had trained with in the 90s and the early 2000s and stuff. The last couple times that he went to Thailand, and like one of my favorites, Yadika Setiatong, he showed me all these videos of him and like Anawat and Atashai, and like just some of the best names
Cream of the
in the
crop
world.
there. Yeah.
that's where I decided, like, so Gladiator MMA shut down and they moved to one training facility and Crew Mark moved to another training facility. I was still an apprentice mechanic, so I couldn't afford to train at both places. So by that point, I kind of decided that I was going to be Muay Thai focused.
Okay. It it sounds like Mark maybe planted that seed before you realized it. Is that true?
Um, I don't know. I think so. True Mark, like you met him, right? It
Yeah.
was just a quick handshake and you guys went separate ways. He seems standoffish to some people, but as soon as you know, give him that, as soon as you show him uh your interest in Muay Thai, right? He'll talk to you for days. He'll show you this stuff. He'll give you some, like my first set of gloves I tore the thumb out of, and he's just like he went into his bag and pulled out a set of gloves. And like, here, take these. Like he's as long as you're into Muay Thai and you want it to be your thing, he's your guy as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, when it was getting clearer while I was training still at Gladiator that I was better suited as a striker than a grappler. Uh, at that point, yeah, he put a little more focus in me, and that's what kind of ignited everything, I think.
Nice. And speaking of Mark, you're right. I'm sorry, man. What's his last name?
Cleary.
Cleary. Right. Thank you. Um, Someone who I've seen a lot. You know, I see pictures of him nonstop in Thailand. He's got abs, and
He's he's in Thailand right now.
there you go. There you go. So I clearly see somebody whose life is dedicated to Muay Thai and Mark.
Yeah,
Cool, man.
he's
Sorry, go ahead.
without him, I think like a whole generation. It's like now we're into maybe two or three generations of guys in Kingston who competed, whether amateur or and now we're seeing the residuals where it's like my students are his students, right?
Yeah.
I learned everything I know from him. I pass it down to guys who are now students and are competing. So it's like it's his legacy. I think he brought Muay Thai to this area because I don't know of anybody before that was doing it, and certainly not nearly as traditionally um, and like we basically we were running, doing 500 kicks, 500 knees on the bag, doing the pat like we were doing like a Thailand style class, you know.
Yeah, I
And
very
so
much got that impression. He's a very traditional Muay Thai man.
yes, yeah, and he's like a fountain of knowledge. He knows, you one of the things that used to frustrate me at the gym would be somebody would say something like, "Hey, crew Mark, when I do this, what's something that there's when this guy does this, what's something that this guy can do?" And then it would be like 20 minutes of like 15 to 20 different. Well, you could kick the leg out, do this, an elbow. You could do this sweep, and like he's got so many techniques, and he's learned from so many of the greats, and he's got it stored up there, So uh, uh, he's definitely like a Muay Thai purist, and yeah, like I said, one of the most authentic that I've ever experienced in terms of coaching.
Yeah, and even down to the nicknames of some of those fighters, man. Those are like authentic Thai style,
Yeah,
nicknames.
yeah, he likes giving the Thai nicknames out. Yeah.
Oh, they're the best. They're the best. Um, Now, as a heavyweight, or even close to it, cruiserweight, uh, I would say the higher in weight you go, the less clinching you tend to see. And then you run into my friend Paul Martin here. You are a clinch monster. Was that part of your game from the beginning, or is that something you developed?
Um, it was definitely something I developed. Um, if you think there's a few videos of me in like 2011, 2012, where you can see I'm like I have my back against the ropes. I'm trying to counter kick. I'm trying to put and you know it developed more as first as I realized that a lot of gyms at that time were more kickboxing than clinching.
Mhm.
So it was uh, Mark always evened it out. So we did as many sparring rounds as we did clinching rounds. We do these 1 minute blasts where you're basically shark baiting yourself, like the whole class shark baits each other. 1 minute with a 10-second break. You Y out to one guy, you turn, and that guy's your partner for the next one, and you just keep going. And it was like 15, 20 rounds of that. So um, I realized that like probably have more time in clinching than a lot of the guys that I'm competing with. So I made it a focus. And as I got older and, a little bit of flexibility went away. One thing that's never really gone away is strength, because I feel like I have a natural strength. It's not like a gym. It's not like from doing bench presses and stuff. It's more just from like, working on a farm as a kid and working on cars as an adult and stuff like that. It's not so I always feel like I'm strong enough to just grab a hold and clinch with anybody and not get dominated.
Sure, I would imagine between a lot of farming and auto mechanics, a lot of it's going to be pulling in. A lot of strength there, pulling people in. Um, was it at what point did you think that clinching was your game? Like what was that earlier? Was like I see you as a clincher, man, and very very rare for cruiserweight heavyweight. But I know you said you've been sharpening up your boxing, but where did the confidence come from that like I'm a clincher? About when? I guess what I'm saying.
Just a couple performances, specifically like I guess the Mirza Hopevec fight. So I did lose that fight by decision, but before that, Mirza had knocked his last 6 opponents out.
Big scary dude.
I don't think anyone had went past the first round with him at that point. And I was like, okay, yeah, he's going to come flying out at me. I'm going to have a high guard. I'm going to grab a hold of his arms, and I'm going to just drag my weight on his arms and knee him in the legs. It's not going to look pretty. The crowd's not going to be super excited by it because it's not a quick knockout like you're used to seeing in the heavier weights. But this will at least give me the opportunity to last, to do something, to make it a fight, right? If it was just a boxing match or just a kickboxing match that I wasn't allowed to clinch, I imagine he probably would have caught me at some point, put me on the floor. But as it stands, I was able to kind of mitigate any of the big stuff and get some counters in. And like I said, ultimately I lost that fight, but I felt as performance-wise. And there was one right before that. So I went up in weight to fight at heavyweight against a literal lumberjack, a guy named, geez, I'm blanking on his last name now, but it's a fellow from Peterborough. He's a huge guy. He's about 6'4", and I think he weighed in at 230, and I was like 210 pounds.
Yo.
And yeah, in the first round, he clipped me a couple times, and it was me again, getting him, pulling him, making his arms work and stuff like that. The second round, he hit me with a punch, and I was like, "Oh, I'm way more comfortable with that." Now we'll kick, right? Now we'll kickbox. Now now we'll get into the full range of Muay Thai. But for me, it's always been about kind of evening the odds. Not particularly athletic in your traditional sense. I'm not very explosive, not very flexible. So it was something that I kind of focused heavier on to kind of mitigate the spots where I was deficient, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Everyone's always trying to improve the things that they lack instead of working on the things that they're unbelievably good at. Keep those tools sharp. So let's move on a little bit here. So Muay Thai World Cup in Ontario. First of all, what was it like fighting in a tent in a field?
Well, it was interesting. It was an experience, but I've actually fought for long enough that fought in a warehouse once. I fought in a gym that was like a weights gym where they just literally pulled all the weight machines out and just had the middle of the gym, and there was like 50 people there. So it wasn't like and I get it. It was impromptu. We had to do something. We had to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
All the stuff that's been going on with like stopping it. If we canceled it, if they'd had to cancel another card, it probably would have never happened, right? So I appreciate the effort that Kieran and Mike went to get that fight together. And ultimately, I had a lot of friends and family there because I was close. So to me, that was may have been a little less traditional venue, but it was awesome to be the hometown fighter for the longest time. Like even
Uh,
I go to Ottawa, I fight the Ottawa guy. If I went to Toronto, I went to fought the Toronto guy. I fought in Quebec a lot, where I'm always fighting a guy from Quebec. Uh, in the States, I'm always fighting an American. So it was yeah, it was a little refreshing to be the hometown fighter.
sure. Yeah, I bet. Was there any extra motivation in that?
Yeah, definitely, because my wife was there.
Right.
She doesn't because of the kids. You know, it's uh, to fly her to New York with me. So it would mean flying her and the kids to New York with me, and then like, you know, she's asking me like, "You went to New York? And you didn't do any sightseeing?" Like, it's like, no, I focused on cutting weight, making weight, replenishing, then getting a good night's sleep. And then the next day I had to be basically out of the hotel at 11 and back on a plane by like the mid afternoon. So I didn't really, I don't think it would have appealed to her. But
Yeah.
this one here, I had I had a table, family and friends, and then a bunch of students that came as well. So it was more of a motivational tool to win and to perform well.
Yeah. Okay, here it is. So by this point, I've talked to you a few times. Paul, big guy, really nice. He's a nice guy, good fighter. And then I'm sitting at the commentary table. I look to my right. I'm like, who's yelling? And I see you with the biggest eyes in the world, looking like you're about to fucking wreck shop in the place. What happened?
When was that?
At that event, you were at a table. Speaking of a table, and I saw you just yelling at dudes. Like we all heard you, man.
Oh, at the yeah. So these guys. So I bought that table for $1,500, and these guys just thought that they were gonna get to sit in it. They were
Oh.
sitting in the, and they're asking me like, "Well, who the fuck are you?" And I was like, "I'm the main event, man. Paid for front row tickets." And I was like, "Yes, the tables are around the ring, and the front row is the front row of the general admission seating." I don't know what to tell you, right? So I obviously, by that point, I was a lot less calm. They were belligerent. They refused to leave, swearing at me in front of my wife and stuff like that. I wasn't too happy about that. So yeah, I was at a point where I was standing over the guy berating him because he was being very disrespectful. And uh, yeah, I had people who had come in to get seated at the table that I bought, and they couldn't because there were these three idiots sitting there.
Well, good for you.
It was more just, um, the guy started yelling at me and upping the ante. It's like I can up the ante too. I can yell and get loud and unruly if you want, right? But I'd much rather we just talk about this regularly. But
Yeah, listen, man, that reverberated through that whole tent when you actually raised your voice. I was like, oh, like
yeah, I didn't yell.
I was scared for. I didn't even know who you were yelling at. I was scared for them. So did that affect your fight? Were you able to let that go?
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
I don't hold on to that stuff too long. That's what the yelling was to me. It was just I could have not yelled and held that in, and it would have just been like sitting in my stomach, or it could have just been like, yeah, just yell at the guy right then and there. You're being a piece of garbage. Get out of my seats. You didn't pay for them,
Yeah.
and the tickets here physically in my hands. And yeah, luckily the guys came over, and I mean they didn't separate us because it wasn't like anything real was going to happen other than he raised his voice, I raised my voice over him.
Mhm.
I think was more what it was about was he wanted to yell, and I was like, I can yell much louder than you. I'm much bigger. So
Yeah. Yeah. You win. So you went 2-0 that night. So let's talk about your fight. So you were the main event. You were fighting Don Wanch, and I didn't have much experience, but I did some homework before then. And if there's anything that I found is that guy is a fighter's fighter, and
yeah.
he wants to fight. And by the way, nice guy. I really like him. But
Yes.
Yeah, good dude. But he clearly is somebody who wanted to get after it. I mean, from just what I see,
Yeah.
what were you thinking about? What were you training for? What were you prepared for getting into that fight?
Well, I'll tell you that he surprised me. I told him this after too, because for the last couple of years he's been doing primarily bare knuckle boxing.
Yep.
So I assumed he was going to be aggressive and coming at me with hands, and he met me in the ring. We touched gloves, and he kind of stepped back, threw a leg kick. There was one point he hits me with a spinning upward elbow, which I did not see coming. I just had to eat that one.
Right.
And you know, I've known about Donnie for a long time. I've never actually met him. He's more kind of like Hamilton, Niagara region, I think. So he was fighting down in those cards. I'd seen his name on results before, and then when he started fighting internationally, because he's a Canadian fighter from Ontario, I started taking a little more notice. And yeah, it was uh, really excited to see him winning a world title in bare knuckle boxing.
Bet.
But I when they offered him to me, again, I don't turn down fights, but I was genuinely excited because he's kind of like, he's a tough guy. He's well known. He's fought in everything: Muay Thai, kickboxing, boxing, MMA, bare knuckle boxing.
Yeah, he's done it
He did.
all.
So yeah, I went in thinking I was going to have like more of a one-dimensional fight, and I was able to make adjustments. Thankfully, in the corner, Tyler's very good at. I usually give up the first round. I think I did give up the first round on that one, or maybe it was a little more even than I thought. But Tyler's usually very good in between rounds of getting me like if there's an audible, right? Like, hey, you have to do this more, do this less. This isn't landing. This is do these things more. So
Good
he
eye.
kind of, yeah. Yeah.
So, sorry, what was it that he noticed?
Um, well, so he noticed that my straight punches were landing, my looping punches weren't landing. When I clinched him, he was locking up. So there's no point in wasting energy trying to dump him, trying to turn him. I should basically be focusing on landing my knees to make space for something bigger instead. Because there was one point where I tried to grab him like this and turn him into the ropes so that I could land a knee with him up against the ropes. And so I went to turn him, and he was just so tight on my head that we basically stayed the same distance. Now his back's against the ropes, but I still don't have distance for knee. So Tyler pointed that out, like, use your long punches, use your leg kicks. He's not blocking leg kicks. He's like you got to pick him apart a little more with the kickboxing before we can get into a comfortable clinch exchange. And then in the second round, it felt like that opened up a lot more. I got a couple leg kicks in early. I actually got him to engage in a clinch with me, and I think that was maybe so that he didn't have to worry about leg kicks for a second. He came and grabbed hold of me, and then it was with him instigating the clinch instead of me, it made it easier for me to pull his guard down and land an elbow or two, which was where I started kind of pulling ahead in the second round.
Yeah, yeah. And not to take away anything from your win or anything away from Donnie, but I don't know what happened. I heard there might have been like an injury. I don't know if it was a nut or a pelvis, or do you know what happened there?
There was an injury. I've watched the video a lot, and I don't see I don't see a clear knee that hit him to the groin. I think what might have happened was my foot, as the knee hit him to the body, my foot might have clipped him. But basically, he had a loose fitting cup on,
Ooh.
and I think one of his testicles got squeezed.
Yikes, been there.
And he made a grunting noise. Put my hand straight out, and I said to him, "Are you good?" And he's up against the ropes, and he says, "Yeah, I'm good." And we got back to it. And then after that exchange, that's when he kind of like he realized maybe I'm not good.
Yeah, and as a dude, you can always tell. Like they say they're good, but when you got your butt sticking out, you know what I mean. Like you can tell there's, when guys get hit in the groin, they kind of
Yeah,
pull their groin, and you could tell that there was an issue.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And
How I'm sorry.
this ideal way to have won. I wasn't, it would have been nicer to have an actual finish, but You take what you get sometimes.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, now, how was that? How did you feel winning that? So I'm going to be honest with you. I wasn't shaking nervous. I was so cold because the heaters ran out. So literally, as I'm interviewing you, man, I'm literally shaking. I am freezing. How did you feel coming away with another WBC title?
Um, I was super excited to be so like because hockey player and a hockey fan for so long, and like with hockey and Team Canada, so I am an absolute sucker for anything that's got a red maple leaf on it.
Mm,
And so when I saw that new design that they came out with like 2 years ago, I was like, man, I have to win that.
nice.
I told like they're like, well, you already have the North American, you tried first, and I was actually when I had the North American Cruiserweight belt, I was lobbying for a fight with Tim Lowe at Cruiserweight.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
be,
I recall that.
yeah, because I was like, let's put both belts on the line, and it was one of the things. Admittedly, was a little bit selfish on my part. It's like I want that one that's got the maple leaf on it. You
Right.
know, it's such a nice belt design, and yeah, and then it kind of my manager pointed out after he said he talked to somebody at the WBC, and I guess it was uh, I'm the first person to win a WBC belt in two weight classes in Canada. So it was kind of like knowing that after is like that's kind of cool too. So
It's a,
I was over the moon by the time they actually got the belt onto me.
yeah, that's a nice X to put on the map. First guy to win WBC titles in Canada. Congrats. Um, Now, I believe that same night, Martello knocked out Tim Lowe and became the Canadian Cruiserweight champ.
Yep.
Just out of curiosity, is that a rematch maybe you're looking at down the road?
Me and Martello.
Yeah.
I mean, so they had offered it to me for an Ontario like a provincial amateur thing, but I was registered in two different states as a professional,
Mm.
so they wouldn't let me do it that calendar year, so that kind of fell through. I did accept it as so for that fight, I actually went down I think twice down to Orangeville and trained with Martello. I wouldn't be adverse to it again. I don't know what Martello's plans are, but I mean, if that was a fight that was presented to me, I wouldn't turn it down.
Yeah. Yeah. I just was thinking, I mean, you're talking, Tim was the champ. He's not anymore. It's Martello. You guys got a little fight history. So who knows? Maybe we run it back. As a fight fan, I'd be okay with that.
Pardon?
As a fight fan, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, yeah. Nice.
Awesome, man. So I got to know, talking to you, and maybe you don't want to give anything away, but do you think your natural, forget size, let's call it strength, farm strength, mechanic strength, do you think that's going to be the difference in your next fight?
Well, I think this next fight's going to be a little different because uh, the governing body uh, that's going to be putting the fight on is actually WACO,
Okay.
which means that there will be no elbows in the fight and limited clinching.
Right.
So I'm going to have to rely on more kickboxing, which I imagine Michael would have the edge in. So I've been training hard. I've been working on, especially oftentimes I've supplemented actual defense for just kind of waiting in and clinching. I can't do that in this one, right? So I'm gonna have to I have to work harder on defensive stuff, on combos that don't end in a clinching position, which was another kind of specialty that I've been working on over the years. It's like going from a long strike to a mid range to a short strike and get in a clinch and finish in the clinch. So um, I have nine victories that are finishes, and six or seven of them are elbow finishes. So
Okay.
it's a big part of my game that's being taken out, but
But we don't turn down fights.
I don't turn out fights, and I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Nice. if you're willing to let us in on it, what are some things that you're like, yeah, I should probably watch out for that when I fight Fitzpatrick?
Um, Puts combos together really well. Uh, I saw in the fight with Justin there that he was getting a lot in the way of leg kicks in,
Yep.
carrying the leg kicks in. Seems to be an aggressive fighter. I don't know if that's going to carry over. I don't know if he's going to be as aggressive with with me just because they're like I've stood beside Mike before. I'm a little bit taller than him, a little bit longer. Um, I think just bone density is maybe more where I carry my weight over him. It's not like I'm going to be towering over him or anything. So I'm gonna have to be careful. And like he does when he's at a lighter weight anyway, he does a lot of things that like, a punch and a kick from the same side and you don't see the kick coming because you're defending the punch, right? You put your hand down here and the kick comes on. So I'm gonna be wary of that kind of stuff. And I think footwork's gonna play a big part in this fight.
Nice, nice. And am I wrong? I could be making this up. Is this for a WMO title?
Yes, this is for the WMO Canadian heavyweight title.
Nice, awesome, man. So possibly another things go your way, and another one to hang up or show your kids.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. All right, but right before we get near the end here, I always ask the same questions. Number one, who are your three favorite fighters of all time and why?
Um, for Muay Thai?
Any.
Or, okay, so uh, Yadika Sityatong, and that was more just because of like he's obviously a great fighter, he's King's birthday champion, stuff like that. Maybe not someone that everybody would put in their top five, top 10, but he's at the time that I first started training, uh, I went over to Crew Mark's house and we watched some videos and stuff like that, and he was showing me all these videos and he showed me Yadika Sityatong, and one that I'll never forget is the spinning elbow knockout that he to Shannon Forster in Australia. It was so fast and so pinpoint and precise that the person who was doing the video had to slow it down 3 times to actually so that you could see what happened. It literally just looked like two guys clashed together and one guy fell down.
Hmm.
He crosses over and blocks a switch knee with his forearm, and just as he makes contact with the switch knee, he comes over the top and hits him right here, like right on the butt, and floors him.
Damn.
So he'd be one. Obviously, Saenchai. Saenchai is the
King
GOAT.
of Kings, that fella.
Pardon?
King of Kings, that fella.
Yeah. So, I I just don't think I've seen I've seen a lot of Samart, and it's kind of universally said amongst the best I guess Muay Thai fighters and people who are like aficionados of Muay Thai, that Samart is the best, and I concede that for sure. I don't know if I've seen enough actual videos of fights of Samart, but he is acknowledged as the best. Samart or Somrak maybe would be number 3 for me. Somrak, I mean, and even him crossing over to boxing and winning a gold medal in the Olympics, it's crazy that these guys can accomplish these things. I find because the amount of dedication and skill that you have to do anything like that. Um, you got to take your hat off to Somrak, but yeah, Samart.
It just comes down to DNA, man. Like you just can't replicate that kind of human.
No, it's they definitely have to be really special.
Yeah, nice. Good list, man. Good list. You're only allowed one, and everybody tries to cheat this. You're allowed one shout out. Give one person one shout out on the podcast. Who is it?
Oh God.
I know I say one, so it's hard.
Well, I have kind of people are watching the podcast, and I have shouted out quite a few people just in my answers.
Yes, sir.
Already given my wife and Ty and John and Josh and Neil
Any one of them, if you want, they can still get the one specific shout out.
Well, I guess maybe if we're gonna do the one specific shout out, I would do Crew Mark in Thailand. He's in Thailand right now with Daniel. Daniel's actually
All
gonna
right.
take his pro fight at Raja.
Nice.
Yeah, so I guess I kind of cheated there because I just shouted both of them out. But
Everybody cheats, man. Don't worry. Even I did Daniel Rodriguez last night, and he goes, "Yeah, I'll give one shout out. The entire Super Bond Training Center. Like, that looks like it's about 150 people, but that's fine. You can beat me up." So
we named them one.
no, thank God. I'd still be on. I'd still be on the podcast. All right, man. Other than that, so Mark Cleary, get your shout out.
Crew Mark, yeah.
Beauty.
He's so. I mean, it's a Muay Thai podcast, and he's the guy that got me into Muay Thai and taught me everything I know. So I definitely have to give him the shout out.
Should I get him on here
I mean,
or ask him at least?
I think he'd be a lot more interesting a show than me in terms of.
You don't talk like that.
What's that?
You don't talk like that.
No. Okay. Well, just his knowledge and his his experience in Muay Thai. You probably have a 10-hour conversation with him.
I'm in, man. I'll definitely I'll get in contact with him if I can. Sponsors, any sponsors you want to shout out?
Oh, yeah, these guys. So all the Train Hard, Fight Easy shirts that you see me wearing is Muay Thai Nation, which is a small apparel company in Toronto. It's crew James Hines runs that. He was my first ever sponsor. It was super nice. The Savage Muay Thai logo. He was the one who created that for me for a big order of apparel that I ordered from him. So he's been super helpful over the years. And Victory Lane Auto, where I work, they sponsor me every time I fight. So I'll give them a shout out as well.
Beauty. These things have to happen, man, for us to have these kinds of lifestyles. So thank you for being part of it, for helping out Paul live the Muay Thai life. And with the apparel too, man, a Canadian guy, he does Muay Thai, he runs Muay Thai apparel. Get out there, shop local, support us. Canadians, exactly. Us, but all right, man. Anything else before we're out of here?
No, thank you for having me.
I'm sorry. Watching. I have one fan question, only one, and I got it 10 seconds after I posted that you were coming on the podcast.
Okay.
When is the Martin off? Somebody wants to know. Respectfully.
I think we're gonna have to wait till 2026.
Yeah.
But it's gonna happen. It's a commitment that I made. I'm not gonna. I did say to Chris, I'm not gonna he earned a title shot. I mean, if I retire and vacate the titles, then it's it's a whole thing. So I think it'd be just best I'll fight Chris when we can get the Ontario card together, and then we'll go from there.
Nice. It sounds like he wants it too, man. I mean, I got that question in 10 seconds. And of course, respectfully, he's a nice guy as well. He was very respectful about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. And now I totally cut you off. I'm sorry. One more time, anything before we're out of here?
No, I was just saying thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I've been I have Spotify, so I usually listen to the podcast when there's a new one at work and put it on the speaker and make everybody in the shop listen to Canadian Muay Thai stuff. So thank you for having me on. Finally, I'll be able to put it on at work and they can listen to me for an hour.
Beauty. There you go. Well, and listen, it's been a while. I've known of you. I say this a lot. I've known of you forever, and it's only the past year that I really got to talk to you and get to know what I think is I hear a stand-up. Just I don't want to say regular dude, but there's none of this weird hype with you, bullshit hype. You're a real one, and those are my favorite kind of guests. So I really do appreciate it as well.
Thank you.
All right, Paul. Other than that, man, I will see you ringside for your fight because I will be commentating there, man. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. We'll see you then.
You bet. Thanks, brother. We'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.